Remember about 3 years ago now, we went to Walmart and all the shelves were empty on bikes. They were empty on a lot of things, but if you remember the bicycles, they were nowhere to be found. I'm a cyclist in part. I don't know where all those bikes went. Maybe people's garages, maybe to their backyards, but they surely didn't find them way to the streets or to the trails. At least that's not what I saw. My name is Mike. Welcome to Patriot Health and Fitness and Mike's Kitchen Table. And today we're going to talk about being different and hiding and what that means to me and what I've seen the last few years. You know, I don't see a lot of children at play. I don't think any of us do. I'm in my late 50s and we'd play out time. We couldn't wait to get outside. And most children that are in around my age would be outside from sun up to sundown and somewhere in between. And today you don't see any of that. In fact, it's completely disappeared. If for the most part. um and I know things have changed structurally with streets and stroads, they call them, a combination of a street and a road, and there's not a lot of paths that make it conducive or safe for children to walk like it used to be. And then you have issues with the godlessness and lack of good parenting and lack of common sense and godlessness in the schools. It doesn't it's not all that hard to understand why parents won't let their children walk to school anymore and so forth. So I'm just trying to emphasize the point of how little bit of change, a little bit of difference, how much that can go a long ways. In Matthew 7 says that the road to heaven is narrow and that leads towards life, and the wide road where everybody goes on, leads to destruction. And that's kind of the point here is be different. And that doesn't take a ton of energy. That doesn't take an abrupt about face and going the complete opposite direction. Sometimes it just means making a small change. For example, getting up 5 minutes early for stretching. My goodness, when you stretch your arms up to the top of the heavens and come all the way down to where you're in a seated, squatted position where your fanny is over your heels, if you can do that, I imagine many of you watching cannot, but that's hopefully watching this channel will help you do that someday. And I'm going to provide all that instruction as well, of course. So not for this video though. For now, I'm just focusing on a few different behaviors and observation that I felt are important in life. Um, for success and mobility and freedom. So um, be different. When children come over, you don't have to feed them sugar. You don't have to feed them candy. You don't have to feed them what children like. You don't have to feed them macaroni and cheese and all the processed foods that they're used to. It might keep them quiet for a little bit while they're eating, but it's not going to help control their behaviors at all. In fact, it's likely to make behaviors in children worse. And I don't want to blame children. When we adults eat processed food, poor foods and nutrition and high sugar foods, low fiber foods, boy, that affects us just in the same way as children, only in 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 um in different intensities. And so ours will come on with mood swings. Children will have behavior problems. And we might have behavior problems too. We might not be able to get along with our spouse or loved one or children or coworkers or friends, and we might not be able to equate it to bad eating. But I can tell you, if you're living on processed foods, or if you're one of these people, God forbid, who's letting their children choose what they want to eat, there's way too many choices today. That should not be done. The food companies do not have your best interests. That's for sure. And just because they put it on a shelf doesn't mean that it's healthy by any stretch of the imagination. And and growing up, I kind of thought that that was. I was, first, everybody was a saint until you proved me wrong. Well, got a little older and hopefully a little bit wiser, knowing that there's a lot of companies out there just to make a simple dollar, and be damned any health consequences, even if they know it. And so be different. The children will not go on a stronger hike. They don't have that capacity, and they might have a rough time if they're addicted to sugar. Sugar is one of the most addicting drugs that there is, and these flavor scientists have mastered the art of flavorings. These chemists, and so you combine flavors with sugar, and then all these different textures that they can make, from marshmallow things to hard candies to everything in between. The children have an enormous array of poisons that they can cheerfully eat, and then the parents have to put up with all the behavior and the tempers and so forth. So um, be different, eat real food. Be different, read the Bible. There's a lot of instructions in the Bible on life. Instead of telling people what you think the Bible says, read the thing. It's got instructions from health to science to marriage to friendships, and of course, eternal life with God, and the prescription on how to do that. So I emphasize a little bit of that every day. Helps put you on the right course. And move, be a little bit different, move a little bit different. I met a gentleman the other day, and poor man, fell down some stairs, and it blew his quadricep tendon off his tibia. So they had to surgically reconstruct his tendon, his quadricep tendon, which takes account four different muscles used to flex the hip and the knee. And they attached it, and within 1 hour, evidently, that broke again. And this time the tendon tore. So they reattached it, fixed the tear, and he's having immense problems and needs another tendon, according to another surgeon. Um, but he's losing all of his muscles, and he's gaining quite a bit of fat by not being active. And he's scared. He's scared to death. He's 60 years old. Man looks unbelievable. Looks like he's in his 40s. But he used to work out and lift weights and jog, and now he's kind of he's confined to a chair, and a scooter chair. His walking balance is terrible, um, and so he's just waiting for when surgery is going to be the right time for him. Be different. If you get injured, you need to stop. You need to heal. But once the wound is healed, you need to move again. That is so important because we are so adaptable. God made us so good that we can adapt to an injury, right? We can adapt to where, oh, the only thing that feels good is sitting. We can adapt to where we can't put our arms over our heads because our shoulders are frozen or some other ailment is hurting us. We can adapt to walking. We can adapt to jogging. We can adapt to running. We can adapt to picking up a paper bag. We can adapt to picking up a loaf of bread, a cantaloupe, a baby. We can get stronger. We can get faster. We can get more mobile. It does not matter how old you are. And it really doesn't matter the prior shape you're in or medical condition, unless your doctor says you're terminal at this time, and perhaps it's cancer. Um, and God forbid that's happened um, to you, but frankly, for everybody else, the Lord's blessings are endless with the human body. And some of this arthritic pain that all of us experiences, when we're over 18, a lot of times it's going to hurt. But I want you to know that the pain is not something that you should say, oh no, that's a sign you should stop. In some situations, absolutely. Um, mm, you know, um, oh geez, I can't think of a good analogy. Okay, when I stick my finger in my eye, when it starts to hurt, that's a good indication to stop, right? Um, but with therapy, with arthritis in particular, osteoarthritis, I'm not talking about rheumatoid arthritis, you have to decrease the bump that the calcified fluid is forming in the joint, and because that is creating the pain when you move. Because when the bone moves, I showed this kind of thing in another video. When the bone moves across another bone, it's grinding down that bump. So if you grind enough, often enough, and that's the key, often enough, so the regularity of it, that's huge. That's the key to success. And that's why for osteoarthritis, mild to moderate forms of osteoarthritis, exercise is the number one treatment, and it will always be, uh, unless Pfizer gets their hands on it, but natural, the remedy to do this is to get rid of the calcified bumps that form behind the periosteum of the hyaline cartilage, and you sweep it away by rubbing a bone against it. And if the longer you sit, the more fluid gets up underneath the periosteum. The bigger the bump is, the more impediment you have to movement, the more pain there is going to be. Doesn't necessarily mean, however, that that pain is a bad thing. If you can grit your teeth, and I mean grit your teeth, and start movement, start the range of motion that you can possibly do. It's not going to be comfortable, but it will work. So, so when I had two hip injuries, subpatellar tendonitis. I was a basketball player. I'm 5'7". I'm sure you can tell how tall I am now. Um, but for me to do to go over in a lunge position, even when my knee was not over my toe, it would hurt a great amount underneath my patella, my kneecap. It's called subpatellar tendonitis, and I've battled with it for years. The knee straps that people have that you've seen, they're like a little ropes or something that people would put right below their kneecap. That's what that's for. And when you suppress in on where the tendon junction meets the muscle, it tends to relieve pain, at least temporarily for people. And I suffered that for years. And so when I started after my when COVID swept the land and the policies became ridiculous immediately. Um, I got displaced and everything, and so I had these hip injuries. Well, it was a good time to work on them, so I started to do real, even partial lunges, not even full lunges, maybe a quarter of a lunge. And I remember doing them outside, and I remember hollering in pain. Now I can do the old Ben Carlson, I think is his name, knees over toe guy. Forgive me if I got his name wrong, but to where my knees are fully extended over my toe as it possibly can be, doing weighted lunges, and other things for my knees, and I haven't had a pain in my knees since. Um, I have what Ben says had bulletproofed uh, my knee, and I'm very proud of that. At 57, this stuff works. So sometimes it creates pain, and but everybody has arthritis, right? I mean, again, I'm not talking about rheumatoid arthritis where your fingers have big bony masses of swelling, and your fingers are crunched up like this or what have you, or all just goofed up. I'm talking about arthritis pain that that is that is non-medicated, if you will, or at least what the physician would call mild to moderate. Exercise is the best medicine. Be different. Don't do what most people do, and they don't move because it hurts. Their arthritis just gets bigger, or just gets worse. So be different. Move just a little bit every day will keep the doctor away. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. It'll be a big blessing to me. Thank you for your time. God bless. See you next time.